Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Hulk potentially getting his chance at a standalone film in the near future, because what we now know is that Marvel has finally bought back the rights to the Hulk from Universal. And so yeah, in this video I just kind of want to do a few quick thoughts, as well as some potential ideas of what I think could happen in the future. So I had heard a few things about Namor actually being back into the MCU, or not really back in the MCU, but potentially being featured in Black Panther 2. I don't remember if anything was ever confirmed with that, but as far as I know, there wasn't. Um, but I didn't really think that anything would come of the Hulk, because Namor was kind of a different story. He was never really used in anything that Universal had done, so it was kind of less of a surprise that he would be returned to the MCU, because it's not like Universal was doing anything with the character. And in a similar vein, like for the Hulk, the whole thing was that Marvel was always able to make a standalone Hulk movie, but they were just never able to distribute it because Universal had the rights to distribution. So finding out that Disney now owns 100% of the rights to the Hulk standalone film is super exciting, just because even like Mark Ruffalo and Kevin Feige had always said that it was pretty much not possible because Universal just didn't want to work together with Disney, or they couldn't come to an arrangement. So I was really surprised to hear this, but I'm really excited that it's going to happen. So we don't actually know any news, or we don't have any official news on Disney's part as to when a film would be in the works or when it would potentially come out, what year. But hopefully, hopefully something in Phase 5 or even Phase 6 would be fine, but I doubt that we're going to see something in like the next 2 years. So, yeah, I'm really excited, but I'm kind of gonna shift more in towards like different ideas that could potentially come of this, and what type of stories they could actually do with this character now that they have the ability to do a movie just around this character, instead of what was done in Thor Ragnarok, where it was kind of like both Thor and Hulk in a good chunk of the film, as well as like Hulk having an arc over the course of several films. So, I'm really excited to actually have a dedicated film just for Hulk fans, just for people who want to see a progression of this character. So I have like about six or so different ideas that I'm going to talk about. Like the first two are really obvious and probably something that a lot of people want, just because they're really, really big stories. And the first one is World War Hulk. This one is when the Hulk returns from Sakaar, which Sakaar is the whole story with Planet Hulk that they kind of did with Ragnarok, but not really. They kind of reworked it to fit more tonally with the Thor film. So if they could do a World War Hulk film, they would kind of have to redesign some of, or rework some of his motivations in that film, because he was very, very justified in his actions on some level, but at the same time he was pretty much wrecking the entire Marvel universe out of rage for what happened to him. So they would really need to figure out a way to create that same level of anger and frustration, to the point where the Hulk that we know would really attack and destroy so many different MCU characters that he has a long-standing history with at this point. So, and at this point, this really hasn't been a route that has been gone through with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. It hasn't really been as dark as it potentially could have been. He hasn't been, like, killing a lot of people. He hasn't been destroying villages or just being chased by the military for years and years and years. Like, that all pretty much probably, presumably happened before we found Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in Avengers 1. So, kind of backtracking and either having something terrible happen to him. Potentially could have been Black Widow dying, but that didn't really happen there. So, like, what else could it have been to really enrage the Hulk on that level? Even in the final battle in Endgame, he never really hulked out again once he became the Professor Hulk. So, finding a way to kind of bring back the Savage Hulk and really going back to some of the upper bounds of how powerful the Hulk can be. That's something that we've never explored in the MCU, and something that a lot of Hulk fans, such as myself, the Hulk being one of my favorite characters in Marvel, as well as one of my favorite general characters, just because of how he's been written over the years. Being able to see this would be really, really cool. And I'm definitely certain that, like, with any of these, Kevin Feige would do an amazing job handling the creative direction of this character. And, like, whoever they pick to direct and everything else, definitely, like, have faith. I definitely have faith in this movie being a success. So, with that, the second really exciting and probably very popular idea that comes of this is Hulk versus Wolverine. It's a very common story that people want to see. There's actually an animated film, I believe, about this that I've seen like certain fights from it. So that this is just really cool because it could be an introduction to Wolverine in the MCU. Maybe even an introduction to Alpha Flight, which is a Canadian organization that Wolverine was a part of in the past before he joined the X-Men. And I think it was also a joint operation with S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't remember the details. I could actually be completely wrong. But it was either S.H.I.E.L.D. or Alpha Flight that sent Wolverine to attack the Hulk and get him out of Canada. Or it could have or there could have been multiple instances. I'm not really certain on it. It's been a long time since I've watched the film and really like thought about the story, but definitely like just having a slug match between Wolverine and the Hulk would be really, really cool because they're like a very common pair up that has happened over the course of history of like the Hulk and Wolverine. They're kind of intertwined on some level. They've had a lot of stories with one another, so where they're fighting and at odds and stuff like that, where usually it's a story where the Hulk has gone on a rampage and whoever wants him to leave the area or wants him to be diverted and distracted, they a lot of the times will send Wolverine in to do that. And so yeah, they have like a long-standing history, and kind of creating a foundation for this would be really cool. I think this could work as if it takes place in the past. If it takes place now, they would kind of have to do some explaining as to how Professor Hulk once again becomes the Savage Hulk again. So yeah, this one is like, again, it's very popular. I think it would be really cool to see. The only thing is, does Marvel want to reintroduce another version of Wolverine so soon after Hugh Jackman has left the role? Because a lot of us still think of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, so we'll just have to wait and see for that one. Now, this one is another thing that would kind of take place in the past, but it would really work for being produced in the next couple years, because this is the story of how Professor Hulk became the Professor Hulk in the MCU, because they did not touch upon it at all. I think the story of Bruce Banner was kind of very hugely, there was a huge disservice to the character in Endgame, and it kind of just ruined it for me. The Hulk is, again, one of my favorite characters, so kind of seeing him being reduced to comedic relief and not being interesting at all in the slightest. Apart from, yeah, he had a few jokes. That was pretty much his end result, his end state, and he didn't really even help with time travel or any of the big things apart from snapping his fingers and then becoming useless even for the end fight, which also could have been really cool to see. So yeah, just seeing that progression so that there's a little bit more of a payoff when you rewatch Endgame at some point and see this character for what he is, that would be really cool, because I really felt like it was a disservice to the character with how little of a journey we saw with him. We kind of just fast forwarded 5 years and we're like, yep, this happened. We're not going to tell you how it happened. It did. So yeah, being able to see that story, maybe it's a story that takes place in a movie over the course of several months or several years, whatever it is, as to how he becomes Professor Hulk. I think that could be really cool. But again, that just depends on whether or not people are willing to redo that story. And or if they just want to move on. I think that it would be really cool to see how he got where he was, and actually flesh out where he is in Avengers Endgame. So yeah, the next thing is a story that's completely in the mind of Bruce Banner. This is a little bit out there, especially for more mainstream audiences, but I think this could be really cool because there are a lot of times and a lot of stories where you see the inside of Bruce Banner's mind. It's a similar thing that you see with the Wolverine as well, but in Bruce Banner's mind, there have been several different personalities. There's Bruce Banner, the traditional Bruce Banner. There's his father. There is who else? There's the Savage Hulk. There's Joe Fixit, the Grey Hulk, and then there's a multitude of different variations. But um, those are some of the main versions of the Hulk, or the main versions and personalities within Bruce Banner's head that we've seen a lot of over the years. So it could be really cool to just have a film where, similar to certain comic moments, or even just not entirely having it on the outside or inside his brain, but seeing what's going on inside his mind could be really, really cool. And not only that, I think it could be really interesting for Mark Ruffalo as an actor to kind of explore different personalities actually combating one another. There have been instances where you see Bruce Banner just running frantically in his mind away from Joe Fixit, as well as the Savage Hulk fighting viciously in his mind for control, and Bruce Banner just trying to run away and be safe. Things like that could look really, really cool cinematically, and that's kind of one of the most interesting things for characters whose minds are essentially broken. They didn't really do much with that in the MCU as much as they could have. They kind of touch very surface level on it, and I think this could be a huge opportunity for Mark Ruffalo to really delve deep on this character's personalities and exactly what that means for him as a human being. Yeah, so again, kind of in the same vein, I want a story that could just delve in with Joe Fixit, Mr. Fixit, Grey Hulk, whatever you want to call him. He's pretty much just another version of the Hulk, but the huge difference between him and the Savage Hulk, which are kind of the two main Hulks that you see in continuity, the main version being the Green Hulk, the Savage Hulk, and the slightly lesser known, but he's still a main personality in Bruce Banner's mind, would be the Grey Hulk, Joe Fixit personality. Joe Fixit, unlike the Hulk and Bruce Banner, he's not a good guy. Like with Savage Hulk, with Green Hulk, he's kind of depends on his mood, but he is the Avenger. Same thing with Bruce Banner. He's still a renowned scientist. He's a good person, whatever. But Joe Fixit is a mob boss in actuality, which is really weird to see. He talks like a 90s gang, or not 90s, he talks like a very old school gangster, dresses in a suit and top hat, usually smokes a cigar. It's very hilarious to see, and I don't know how it would work in a film, but even if this takes place, I think, again, this could take place in the past. I think it would be really cool, and it might actually fit in better if you see this type of a character at some point in the past. He works very well with other characters that are kind of not on the same level as Avengers level villains, more like street level villains or even street level characters. I think that like street level heroes, things like that. He works very well for that type of crowd. He's not as strong as the Hulk, but he has his full like faculties. He has a mind. He's not really a mindless character. So yeah, and he's still a formidable foe. I saw a video recently of him in like one of the animated shows because I was kind of thinking about the different things that I might want to see in a standalone film, and I just looked up some videos with the Grey Hulk as he's been seen in different animations over the years, and there's a video of him fighting another like small time, I think he's also like a crime boss of some form. His name's Hammerhead, and them just slugging each other like trying to, it's kind of like a regular mob fight. So I think something like that could look really, really cool. Yeah, and then the final idea that I have is to introduce a lot of the other Hulks into a film alongside or even in a standalone area with even in a standalone film potentially, but maybe even a group film, whatever works. I'm not really sure. I don't really have a fleshed out thought process on this one, but this is mainly to see like the Red Hulk, Scar, who's the Hulk's son, or one of the Hulk's sons. He has two. I forget what the other one's name is. And then you have A-Bomb, or even She-Hulk. But She-Hulk has her own TV show, so I doubt they would do anything with her in the movies right away, or even have her just be in a team-up film with the Hulk. I have no idea. But I think regardless, using any of these other Hulk characters could be really cool. The accident that Bruce Banner went through, they could revisit that and talk about A-Bomb. I forget his original name, his real name, but A-Bomb was the guy who Bruce Banner moved out of the way from the Gamma Blast and ended up becoming the Hulk as a result. He saved this dude's life. Later on, he becomes affected by gamma radiation and becomes the superhero A-Bomb. Scar is the Hulk's son. No idea how they would introduce him into this continuity because the world, not the World War Hulk, the Planet Hulk storyline is very different. In Thor Ragnarok, he never really gets married and has a child, so that doesn't really happen, so I have no idea how they would be able to do that, but again, they could figure something out. And probably most exciting of all of these is the Red Hulk. They have Thunderbolt Ross several times now in the MCU, so they could very easily integrate him as a new big bad, as the Red Hulk. They could even do something similar where you don't actually know that it's him to begin with, and I think that could be really cool. So, yeah, those are all my thoughts for like several different potential movie ideas for what could happen in the future of the MCU with a standalone Hulk franchise, standalone Hulk film. If you agreed with anything that I thought of here, if there's anything that I didn't say that you think would look cool, like please let me know in the comments. And I'm super duper excited to see what comes of this. So, yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!